You ever seen someone knock over a whole life's worth of dignity with just one boot? No yelling, no warning, just a white cop, a silent street, and an old woman's stand flying apart like it was never supposed to be there. Yeah, that happened. But what he didn't count on, what he never saw coming, was that her silence would be louder than any riot. And by the time the city realized what it had done, it was already on its knees, not from fire or fury, but from stillness. Let me take you back. Corner of Galloway and 14th, east side of a small city no one brags about visiting. The kind of place where cracked sidewalks hold more memory than concrete, and every porch has a name whispered under breath. And right there, under a patch of fading sun and a streetlight that hadn't worked since 2011, was Miss Althea Reynolds, 73 years old, straw hat big enough to shade a prayer circle, hands like tree bark, but eyes still sharp as fresh glass. She'd been setting up her little produce stand 6 days a week since before half the folks in that neighborhood were even born. Collards, peaches, okra, jars of sweet red jam lined up like soldiers. That cart wasn't just wood and wheels, it was history, survival, her late husband's handiwork, and the only thing that gave her mornings any meaning after burying 2 sons and a sister. And that morning, it was quiet, the kind of quiet that hums. The kind of quiet you only get before something bad or sacred, the kind you don't dare break unless you got something worth saying. But then, he came. Black and white cruiser rolls up slow, tires kissing gravel like they didn't want to wake the street. Cop steps out, Ray Dalton, mid-30s, square jaw, mirror sunglasses that catch everything but see nothing. His hand resting near his holster like he was posing for a movie poster no one asked for. "You can't be here," he says. Not a good morning, not a ma'am, just that. Now Miss Althea, she didn't flinch. She'd heard worse. Hell, she'd lived worse. Just looked up and said, soft and steady, "I have a permit. Been selling right here for 40 years. You'd think he'd take a look, maybe glance at the laminated paper taped to the cart, signed by City Hall itself just 2 weeks back. But he didn't even move, just smirked, chewed his gum like it owed him rent. "I said pack it up, this ain't a farmer's market," he grunted. She reached into her bag, slow like old folks do, pulled out the folded permit, held it up like scripture. "It's all here," she said. "I'm not blocking the sidewalk. I'm within every guideline." And that's when he looked at her, like she was the gum he was chewing, like she wasn't real. You people always think the rules don't apply to you. Now, let that sit a second. You people. Not folks, not vendors, not citizens. Just that. Her hands shook, but she didn't drop the paper. And maybe that silence, her silence, is what made him mad. Because the next thing she knew, his boot came down. Hard. Right through the middle of the stand. Wood cracked like ribs under pressure. Baskets flew, glass shattered, peaches rolled into the gutter like marbles tossed by ghosts. And then he walked away. Didn't even glance back, just strolled to his cruiser and drove off like he'd just swatted a fly. Miss Althea stood there, breath caught in her chest, one hand still holding that permit like it could make sense of any of it. And the street? Dead silent. Except one kid, little boy, couldn't have been more than 6, tiptoed over, picked up a bruised peach, and held it out with both hands like an offering. She took it, didn't cry, didn't yell, just started picking up her collards one by one, wiping dust off like they still deserved to be eaten. You see, she wasn't just cleaning up produce, she was gathering up her pride. Now here's where it shifts. Nobody planned it. No flyers, no hashtags. But by midday, something started happening. First, Rosa from the bakery across the street, barely 30, Latina, heart too big for her apron, brought out a basket of fresh bread, still warm, and placed it on Althea's porch. Didn't knock, didn't say a word, just nodded. Then the florist shut her lights off, then the liquor store. By nightfall, the entire block went dark. No blown fuses, no storms, just intentional, eerie darkness. Every window, every porch light, gone. And that silence, it got loud. By morning, phones started ringing down at City Hall. Pastors, retired teachers, even a former judge. Not to riot, not to scream, just to say one thing. You saw what happened. Now what are you going to do about it? Ray Dalton? He got put on leave. Not fired. Just that soft, bureaucratic pause they give people when they're too afraid to say consequences out loud. But the city, it kept shifting. Neighbors started avoiding his driveway like it had teeth. Mailman left packages on the curb. No one waved. No one knocked. And Ray, for the first time in his life, the silence wasn't his to command. It pressed in on him, tight, surgical, humiliating. But Miss Althea? She didn't stop. That Sunday she came back. Same blouse she wore to her husband's funeral, dove-shaped pins still gleaming on her collar. Set her cart back up, slow and steady, like nothing had changed. But everything had. Kids came and sat around her. One asked, "Is it true you've been selling longer than my mom's been alive?" She laughed. "Possible, baby. Time's slippery like that." And then she taught them. Not with lectures, not with history books, just with peaches and presents and patience. And when the city finally held a hearing, she stood in front of that courtroom like a monument that remembered, voice trembling but spine straight. "He didn't read my permit," she said. "Didn't ask. Just looked at me like I wasn't worth explaining to. Then he kicked my cart like it was trash." Silence. A kind of silence that wraps around a room like fog. No rebuttal, no defense, just truth, and its weight. Outside the courthouse, candles flickered. Collard greens were laid like flowers. A girl held a sign that said, "We remember, our roots are deep." And the city listened. Weeks later, they added Miss Althea's name to the Civil Rights Memorial Hall, right there beneath Rosa Parks and Coretta Scott King. She didn't cry, just touched her dove pin, smiled soft, and said, "Let the next girl know her own voice first. Mine's just the echo." And on the anniversary of the stand's return, nobody rolled out cameras. Nobody gave speeches. Folks just brought folding chairs, shared cobbler, passed stories like heirlooms. And the cart? Still there. Same spot. Different meaning. Because Miss Althea didn't fight with fists. She stood with stillness. With grace rooted so deep it made the whole street bend toward it. And because she stood, others stood too. So yeah, one boot destroyed a cart. But one woman rebuilt a community. Now let me ask you, was justice done? Or just paused until the next name gets whispered? Was silence enough? Or should someone have shouted? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me what you would have done. Tell me what we should have done sooner. And if you think this story matters, share it. Because sometimes the world don't change from noise. Sometimes it listens.